Hello, it's Tuesday, 1st of September, and this is a message for all Litchit students and their parents. A special welcome to Year 7 students and also to the new Year 12 students joining us from other schools. A very warm welcome to you, and I hope you're going to be very happy at Litchit School. To the rest of you, welcome back. And we missed you. It's been 6 months now since you've been in school, and I know a number of you have had very, very different experiences of the last 6 months of lockdown. For some of you, you've managed to get through it very much unscathed, and in many ways you've thrived with the online learning. For others of you, it's been really quite a challenge, and I'm sure that you're all really looking forward to coming back. We're certainly looking forward to seeing you next week. I do hope that you feel that Litchit School is very much your school, your community. We want you to have that sense of belonging, and we're really looking forward to working with you and supporting you. Please have a chat with us if you are struggling or if you have found the last 6 months particularly difficult. With just under a week to go now before you return to the school, I would suggest that this is a good time to get into some good work routines. And by that I mean things like sleep. Think about your body clock. It needs to get into good rhythms. So if I were you, I would start to go to bed a little bit earlier, and I would make sure I was setting the alarm for 6:30 or whenever you normally get up, so that your body clock gets used to that rhythm. Otherwise it's going to be a real shock for you next week. I'd also suggest that you check on your uniform. Check on your shoes, your black shoes. Do they still fit? If they do still fit, why not give them a good polish so they look really lovely? Make sure your uniform still fits. Yeah, try it on. You are no doubt growing very quickly, much to your parents' frustrations. But you may need new shirts. You may need all kinds of new things. So please check that your uniform still fits. Look in the mirror. If your hair has turned blue over the summer holiday, please sort it out. Get it back to a natural colour. If your face is covered in piercings, please remove them. Get used to the fact that we're coming back to school and you're going to need to abide by the normal school rules again. Please check your equipment, because you are going to need equipment obviously on a day-to-day basis, and we are not going to be in a position where we can be lending things out for obvious reasons. So you will need a pencil case. Please make sure that in your pencil case you have pens, pencils, rubber, ruler, calculator, and something that you are going to need this year is earphones. I think I put in the letter headphones. Apologise for that. It's actually cheap little earphones that you're going to need, because I don't think that you're going to want to be sharing other people's earphones when you're using computers or keyboards. So these earphones can be bought very, very cheaply, £1–2, possibly in your petrol station nearby, or you can get them online. We did think of selling them at school, but they are so readily available locally that we thought we didn't need to. So please make sure that you have some earphones. You are absolutely going to need your ID badge, so please make sure you found that. Check on WisePay, make sure that you've put plenty of money on it, because we're not going to be accepting cash anymore for food and drink. If I were you, I would also have my own little pot of hand sanitizer, but of course the school will be providing a whole load of that. We are selling aprons for those of you when you do art. It's a lovely Litchit aprons, cost £4 on WisePay, but we are quite happy for you to bring in your own aprons for that. We do not require you to provide special aprons for food, because we have purchased a whole load of new aprons, because those need to be washable, and we think that's a little bit excessive for you to be carrying those around, and an additional expense which we don't want for your parents. Okay, so please check that you've got all the equipment that you need, and of course you will be given a planner on day one. and that is something that you need to take with you to every lesson. We cannot promise a risk-free environment, so we cannot eliminate all risks of COVID-19, but we have taken a lot of measures to protect you and to protect staff. We've spent over £20,000 on cleaning equipment, hygienic wipes, perspex screens, a whole load of measures that we put in place, in addition to employing an additional 9 cleaners who will be working throughout the day to keep classrooms and equipment clean. So we've put in special measures, but all that will count for nothing without your support. And I really am appealing to students for your support. You need to cooperate to make sure that you and everybody else remain safe and healthy over the next year. Let me give us some of the examples of some things that you could do that will really help us. First of all, you do need to wash your hands frequently and thoroughly. You are now at an age where you should be trusted to do that after you've used the toilet, but it's a serious point. You need to wash your hands thoroughly. Please remember that we are using a year bubble setup here. And before school, at break time and lunchtime, you will be required to remain in your year bubble and to stay in your year bubble zones. And I'll be talking about that later. You will also need, please, to respect social distancing with staff. It is very important that you do not approach staff, and staff have been advised very strongly not to get within 2 meters of yourselves as well, unless, of course, you are in danger, you are at risk of hurting someone else or someone's at risk of hurting you, then we would intervene. But basically, there should be no reason for you to get close to teachers. And also, please do not get close to students from other year groups, i.e. students outside of your bubble. We do need you to get to lessons punctually, so we don't want any sort of congregating in corridors. The idea is that you move around the corridors, you keep to the left and you keep moving. So get used to that kind of mantra, because you will be hearing staff saying in corridors, keep left, keep moving, please. Yeah. So we do want a good flow of students around the school. We've got nice wide corridors, so we don't think that that's going to be a big issue. Some of the downstairs rooms have got fire exits. We're going to use those as our entrances. So you may find, and your teachers will explain this to you, so don't worry, but if you're in Portland Block or in the science labs in particular, it is very likely that you're going to be entering from the fire exit into the classroom and exiting from the room from the door that you normally enter. All right. So again, it's just a way of avoiding groups of students, year bubbles, sort of clashing. Every teacher will be required to have a seating plan for every lesson, for every class. So again, we just ask for your cooperation, please, in making sure that you sit where you're asked to sit. If you want to know the reason why for that, is that if in the very, very unlikely scenario that we have a student or member staff, but particularly a student who tests positive for COVID-19, we would have to sit down and analyse all the seating plans and see which students have been sat closest to that student. And the seating plans are obviously the easiest way for us to work that out. Something else that we will ask you to do, on entering the classroom, you will be required to use the hand sanitizer. So we will be providing them. They are already fitted. There's a station in every single classroom. You will be required to sanitize your hands. And at the end of the lesson, we will ask you just to wipe your desk down with hygienic wipes. And that kind of doing things for the common good is going to be really a theme for this year, that we've got to do things to help other people. All right. I haven't mentioned masks yet, but I'm going to mention those later on, if that's okay. Let's talk a little bit about how the school is going to function then. So we've got a wonderful field, a school field, and I know it is really a highlight of the summer and early autumn months to sit out in the field. I'm afraid we're going to have to just curtail that to some extent. If you're in the sixth form, the good news is that you will be able to use the field every break and every lunchtime, but only the lower half of the field. So sixth formers, you know where the cricket wicket is. From there downwards, you have access to that, sole access to that, breaks and lunchtimes. No students in year 7 to 11 are ever to use the lower half of the field at break and lunchtime. That's always for the sixth form only. The other half of the field, the top of the field, we're going to open that on a rota basis. All right, and it is this, so it's easy to remember. On Mondays, that will be open to year 7. Tuesdays, year 8 can use the top half of the field. Wednesday, year 9. Thursday, year 10. Friday, you've guessed it, year 11. Okay, so the field will not be open to all year groups all the time. Again, your cooperation on that would be much appreciated. So we have created zones for year bubbles, and I just need to go through those. At the very end of this video, I'm going to take you on a little walk around school for those of you who aren't quite sure what I'm talking about, and I'll show you exactly where these zones are. Okay, so if you are in year 7, your zone, your outdoor zone, is the terrace. That's in front of the manor house. It's where we had your assemblies, if you remember, back in July. So on arriving at school, that is where you would go. Okay, and break and lunchtime also, unless it is pouring down with rain. So you will go, and that will be your social area. So it's a lovely area. If it was raining, then you have your indoor zone, and if you need any food or drink at break and lunchtime, you would go into your indoor zone. For year 7, that's Portland block. Again, I'll show you where Portland block is at the end of the video. Year 8, your outdoor zone is the cages, yeah, where the netball courts are. We will divide them up so that there are cages for football and other sort of ball activities. Then there'll be another area for the cool dudes who like to sit or stand and chat. All right, so we'll divide that up. Year 8, it's the cages, and then it's MSH if it is raining or if you need to buy food and drink. Okay, MSH, bottom floor for the food and drink. Year 9. Now your area is behind the arts block. That's the outdoor area. Now you might think, never been there before. That's because it's always been out of bounds. But we've done quite a lot of work on it. We've cleared a lot of it, and there's really quite a vast area. We're putting in extra benching, extra seating area, so a really nice area behind the arts block for year 9. And also your indoor block is going to be the arts block itself, the ground floor of that. Okay. Year 10, your area, your outdoor area, is the area around Loworth block. So either side, and particularly on the right hand side, there was a really quite a big social area. Again, we're putting in extra seating for you there, and the Lulworth Woods. Okay, so that copse area is for year 10 only. Year 10 only, but again, outdoors nearly always. But if it's raining, then Lulworth block itself, ground floor and first floor for year 10s. Year 11s, you're being spoiled. Okay, so we're going to allow you to have the pavilion at break and lunchtime and before school. You've also got the lawn. Some people refer to it as the headmaster's lawn. Well, I'm handing it over to you folks. Okay, so you've got the pavilion, you've got the lawn, and you've also of course got the area just outside the cafe, which is called the amphitheatre. I would stress though that there should be no ball games or frisbees or that kind of thing being thrown on the lawn. It is for just chilling. Okay. Your indoor area, year 11, very fortunate, is the cafe. Okay, as I said, you're being treated particularly nicely, as is appropriate. Sixth form, you've got a lovely area. So all the area, the outdoor area of Galt, there are a lot of lawn areas which you may never have discovered. But the lawns around Galt and the outdoor areas, again, a lot of extra seating is being put in, and your indoor areas are obviously the sixth form centre and the silent study area. Okay, so that's the indoor areas. It is worth reiterating that for students within a year bubble, you do not need to keep a distance. Okay, so if you want to give your best buddy a big hug in the same year group, that's okay. Okay, so social distancing is only when it refers to students from another year group or with adults, with staff. Okay. The library. Now, a number of students do like using the library every day. We're going to have to curtail the use of the library, and I'm sorry about that. But we have to make it manageable, and we have to make sure that we keep you in your year bubbles. So what we're doing with the library is this. Break and lunchtime, it will be for a particular year group for the whole of that week. In fact, it's Monday to Thursday. Okay, we have to allow 72 hours break before the next year group can start using it. That means week 1, the first week, it'll be year 7 only. The week after, it will be year 8, and then the third week of the term will be year 9, and then we'll go back to year 7. Okay, year 8, year 9. I'm afraid it is going to be year 7, 8 and 9 only this term. We'll review it, of course, at the end of the term. If you do wish to use the library, you are going to have to speak to your tutor or your house team because you're going to get a special pass to use the library. We cannot allow every student in the year group just to suddenly pile into the library, so it'll be based on sort of a special request. Okay, but we do hope you'll continue to use the library. A number of students have written to be worried that there aren't going to be clubs this year. Well, that's not the case. We're going to try and run clubs as normally as possible, but it does mean that they have to stay in the year bubbles. So where it's like a sports club, which is one year group, that's not going to be an issue anyway, is it? The issue is going to be where it's a club which might have normally mixed the groups up. So a chess club, you might have had year 8s playing against year 9s. That can't happen. We always have a freshers fair at the beginning of the academic year where we talk about the clubs that we're going to have on offer. It's going to be probably about week 2 that we will do an online version of that where staff who are running clubs will talk to you about the clubs that they're going to offer and the rota, because the clubs will have to run on a rota, of course. All right. So, for example, a chess club or an art club might be for one year group, one particular week, or for a particular period of time. All right. So, watch this space. But clubs, we will try and keep those running because we know how much you enjoy them. The school routine. Let me just talk to you through a typical day. If you arrive at school between 8 and 8:30, so you arrive at school quite early, I would suggest you go straight to your locker and you put your bag in your locker and your phone, and you just take out your pencil case and your planner, possibly 1 or 2 books for that morning's lessons. Okay, you won't be able to go back to your locker at break time, so you take everything you need for that morning. If you get a little bit hungry and you don't want to buy food at break time, then perhaps a cereal bar, stick that in your blazer pocket. But you take your stuff out of your locker, and then you go to your outdoor zone. Okay, so let's say you're year 7, you pop into your house area. If you get there nice and early, you change your locker, get your stuff out of your locker, and you go to the outdoor zone. If you arrive any time after about 8:30, people will be starting to gather, so please don't go to your locker, go straight to your outdoor zone. Okay, and you wait there until the bell goes, then you go to your house area. If you haven't yet sorted out your locker, you would be advised or encouraged to wear a mask while you sort out your locker, and then you go to your tutor room. At break time, if you want food and drink, and we offer hot food, hot and cold food in every zone, then you can go there and get your snacks. Hopefully you won't have to queue up very long, because we've now got 6 different stations, which is obviously great for you. You then have your food, and then you go to your outdoor zone. If it's a sort of an ordinary kind of day, bit dull, you go outside. Okay, the only time you'll be allowed to stay indoors is if it is really, really unpleasant, sort of wet weather. Because we want you to have time to get your snacks at break time, and also more importantly because we need the cleaners time to clean the classrooms and the equipment before period 3, we are extending break time by 10 minutes. Okay, so that's 11:10 till 20 to 12 will be break time. But don't worry about that, we'll have bells to remind you when to move. Okay. Now you might be starting to worry and think, oh no, you're lengthening the school day by 10 minutes. How awful. Well, how great. That's not going to happen. We are extending break by 10 minutes, but we are shortening lunch by 10 minutes as well, because we think we've got adequate time to clean the rooms and for you to have your lunches. Okay. Lunchtime, again, hot and cold food and drinks are available in your zones, and you may obviously go to your locker, and if you need to, but only if you need to change for the afternoon, to make sure that you've got the right equipment. My general feeling is that you won't need to take a lot around with you. I don't want you to be writing to me saying that's impossible, they can't take three lots of books around with them for the whole day, for the whole morning. The reason that's not going to happen is that I really do believe that most teachers will keep your exercise books in the classroom. All right, so you won't have to be taking lots of different exercise books for every lesson. Your exercise books will stay in the classroom largely, and when homework is set, it will be done through Microsoft Teams. And students in years 8 to 13, you're familiar already with Microsoft Teams, you know how that works. So it'll be mainly online homework, mainly, not all, but mainly online homework, so that you won't have to be bringing books to and from school. Okay, so we'll see how that goes, but that's the plan. Okay. Right then, so day 1, September the 7th, Monday. Years 7, 10 and 12, we're looking forward to having you back. When you arrive on that first day, on that Monday, you won't know where your locker is. So you don't go to your house area at all, you go straight to your zone. Okay, so year 7, on Monday morning, please go straight to the area outside the man house. It's called the terrace. Unless it's pouring down with rain, it won't be. But that's where you're going to be. If it is pouring down with rain, you go to Portland. Okay, and you wait there. Whatever time you arrive, you can arrive at 8 o'clock, that's fine, but you wait there until 9:15. At 9:15, the bells will ring, and your tutor on that first day will come and collect you. Year 10, you know where Lulworth Block is. You're going to be waiting outside of Lulworth Block in those sort of social areas, left or right, or in the sort of wooded area. And again, until 9:15, when the bell rings, your tutor will come and collect you. Year 12, ditto for you, please. You can just chill out around sort of the outside of the Galt buildings until the bell goes. Tutor will come collect you. And then, again, you'll be taken by your tutor to your tutor rooms, and you'll be given your locker. Most students will be getting a new locker because we've had to rearrange the groupings of the lockers to avoid year bubbles clashing. All right, so that's for Monday the 7th. On Tuesday the 8th, we would like all students to go straight to their outdoor year bubble. Even the year 7s and 10s who now know where they're going. It's just going to be easier if you all go to your outdoor bubble. Okay. And again, I'm going to remind you at the very end of this video where those bubbles are. But everyone on the 8th, on Tuesday 8th, goes to the outdoor bubble, and again the tutors will come and collect you and take you to your room. And for the new students in year 8, 9, 10, 11 and 13, you will be given your new locker key and your planner and all those other things that you're going to need. Okay. Some of you come to school by bus and by minibus. There is a bit of an issue at the moment, I know, with some of the bus passes. I'm trying to deal with that with the local authority. If you don't get your bus pass, please don't panic. If you know you're getting on a bus, just get on the bus, and you'll be getting your bus pass on day 1 or day 2, but you're going to be allowed on the bus, all right? But buses and minibuses, here's the thing. You have to wear a mask when you travel on a bus, on a school bus, on a public bus, and on the school minibus. So we'd advise you, get yourself your own mask if you can, but even if you can't, we will obviously have some spare masks for you. But you have to travel with a mask on. You have to use the hand sanitizer before you get on the bus. If you've got your own, you can use that. Otherwise, that will be provided also by the bus company and by the school. You do need to try and sit in your zones, okay? And again, my advice is from day 1, find the seat you're going to sit in and sit in that seat every day, okay? Preferably next to the same person who must be from your year group, okay? We're not going to we can't have a seating plan on a bus. We have to just rely on your common sense really and your sense of responsibility, but we do need you to sit in year bubbles. The sensible way, I guess, on a double-decker bus is have year 7, 8 and 9 all sitting downstairs and the older years upstairs, and front of the bus for year 7, back of the bus for year 9, upstairs, front of the bus for year 10, and going back to the sixth form at the back of that bus. Okay. On a long coach, if it's a school coach, again, year 7 at the front, working their way back to the older students at the back. Okay, so we do need you to cooperate on that front, please. So then we come to the whole issue of masks, and I know there's been a lot of discussion about the wearing of masks. Our position hasn't really changed since we were sort of thinking about this back in June, July. So we're going to use phrases like allowed, encouraged and strongly advised. Okay, so all students are allowed to wear a mask if that makes them feel more comfortable. I would suggest when they are having their locker time, when they're around their lockers, or at social time if it's raining and they have to stay in the social kind of communal area. So all students are allowed. No students have to wear a mask, but all students are allowed to. We'd encourage the sort of slightly more older students, encourage them, rather than just allow, we'd encourage older students to wear a mask in the communal areas and at locker time. And for staff and certainly sixth form, we would strongly advise you to wear a mask indoors, in corridors, around lockers, in communal areas. Okay. I will be asking staff not to wear a mask when they're actually speaking, when they're teaching. But again, if a member of staff chooses to put on a mask when you're doing a writing task, then I'm sure you'll appreciate that that's okay as well. Okay. So we'll have a common sense approach, please, to the wearing of masks. Again, I'd prefer you to bring your own masks, but we've bought a massive quantity of masks if you need to borrow, or if you need to use them. We're not going to share them, are we? So we have got some masks for you. It's really important for everyone's safety then that we cooperate, but also we want to make sure that we're learning, and therefore I want to just remind you about the big 6. These are sort of 6 measures to make sure that you learn most effectively, that everyone is doing the same thing. We need that consistency, and staff absolutely want that, and they want to get it right because we think it's best for you. So I just want to reiterate what the big 6 entails, because we're making 2 quite significant changes, and I'll talk to you about those in a moment. The first thing, number 1, you must enter the classroom in an orderly fashion. In the past, last year, we asked you to queue up. We are no longer asking you to queue up. As soon as you arrive at your classroom now, you go straight in. We don't want people hanging around in the corridors. So it's an orderly entry, please. Calm, orderly, but you go straight in, you sit down, get on with your starter activity. At the start of the lesson, the teacher must take the register, and there needs to be silence for that. Okay? Why? It shows that the lesson has started, so it needs to be quiet and orderly. The teacher's in charge, and the teacher does need to hear the names, hear you calling out to say that you are present. Okay, so it's very important that it's silent there. Last year we did trial the idea of teachers bringing the class to silence by putting up their hand and saying 3, 2, 1. It wasn't very popular. A number of teachers felt uncomfortable doing that, and a number of students, the older students, really didn't like it. So we are adapting that. We did say we would review it. So if you're doing an activity and the teacher needs you to come to silence, they will not raise their hand, but they will say 3, 2, 1, thank you very much. And at that point, they will expect absolute silence. So please cooperate on that. It is good manners when the teacher is addressing the class, when the teacher is teaching the class, that there is silence anyway. So we'd obviously expect that also to be the case. Something that's really for your benefit, really is for your benefit, and we're really asking teachers to do this, so you can remind them if they don't. If they're about to set you a task, let's say page 15 from the textbook, and it's exercise 4, what we're asking is that the teacher models the very first question. We think it's really important that they go through, this is an example, okay? So they model how they want you to do the question. If at that point you still don't understand, so the teacher has modelled it, then you can either put your hand up and sort of say, I still don't get it, and please have the courage to do that. If you don't feel confident putting up your hand and saying you're not sure what's going on, in your planner, you're going to have a planner. In the planner there is a traffic light colours. If you just put your planner to red and leave it on your desk, your teacher will see that you are struggling, or that you haven't quite understood the exercise. So that is something that we think is really important for students, because we just haven't got time to waste 10-15 minutes with everyone getting on with an exercise and one or two of you haven't quite got what you're doing. So we need teachers to model it, and you need to respond obviously if you still don't get it. And finally, homework. So it is very important, first of all, that the teacher sets homework on homework night. There is a homework timetable, so you can remind them if they're not setting it on the right night. That's okay, do it politely. But it's really important that you note your homework in your planner. It's about getting organised, having good routines. Again, some of the homework, most of the homework I guess, is going to be set online, so you won't need to take your exercise book home. So it'll be on Microsoft Teams, and there'll be a reminder of how all that works. Those of you who borrowed a laptop during lockdown, there were 170 of you to whom we gave a laptop during that time. You may keep your laptop for the autumn term, because you're going to be getting your homework online, and therefore you'll need to use them. If you are new to the school, so I'm thinking Year 7 pupils, you will need a laptop, computer at home to do your homework. A phone really won't do it. iPad, kind of tablet, may be okay. But if you're free school meal and you don't have such a gadget, can you please just discreetly contact the house office, please, and I will try and get you a laptop to use for this year, because it's particularly important that no one is disadvantaged by not having a laptop. Okay. Just a few words about behaviour and sanctions. I'd rather emphasise the positive about work hard, be really enthusiastic, have great relationships with your teachers. Then there'll be no issue we don't need sanctions then. Do all the work you've been set. We won't need sanctions, but hey, we know teenagers sometimes break the rules. You're going to have to accept the consequences, obviously. So please cooperate with the staff, do as they ask, behave, and we're going to have a really successful year. If you choose not to cooperate, particularly with these health measures around the bubbles and all that thing, we will just send you home. Okay? We can't have students who are going to be defiant or uncooperative. It actually makes the school unsafe. So you would be sent home if you were uncooperative. We have always excluded students who swear at staff or who assault other students. Add to that this year is if you spit at another student, or if you cough deliberately over another student, we would see that as an assault, and that would lead to an exclusion. I'm sure you're shocked that I'm even suggesting that you might do this, so ignore it if that's the case, but just be aware, please, that we need you to really cooperate. We want everyone to feel safe in this school. And look into the future. I just want you to feel really positive about coming back to school. I am very confident that we can keep this school safe for you. Can't guarantee 100% ever that it's totally safe, but we will do all that we can to keep it safe. The staff are very, very keen to welcome you back. This is your school, yeah? Remember that idea, that sense of belonging. I want you to feel that this is your school and that this is your safe place, your happy place, potentially. And it's also going to be your fun place, because you're going to meet all your friends, and that social development is so important, along with getting a good education. So let's face the future without fear. Let's be courageous. Let's get into school. Yeah, let's get into school every day and be really positive and work hard, and we'll have a great year. I'm going to close this down now, and going to take you on a very short tour of the school, just pointing out where the year bubble zones are. Okay, so if you want to stick around for that, that's grand. Thanks very much. Okay, so this is part 2 of the presentation, and we'll start with year 7. So year 7, this is the terrace, okay? This is where you come at the beginning of the day, and this is where you come at break time and lunchtime. This is your zone. Only you can use this area. The only time you wouldn't use this is if it was absolutely pouring down with rain, and then we would allow you to use the Portland block. And I'm going to take you there, and you see that now. Okay, year 7, so this is Portland block, and when the weather is really rubbish, you're going to be able to come in here, and you'll see plenty of space for you, in addition to a few of the classrooms that you're going to use, and your food and drink can be purchased at the end of the block. That's where there'll be a portable station, catering station. Okay, now moving on to year 8. So year 8, when you arrive at school and at break time and at lunchtime, these are the cages, and this is your zone that you can come to. The only time you wouldn't come down here is if it's pouring down with rain, and then you would be in MSH. Okay, year 8, so we are now ground floor of MSH. This is the area that you would come if it's pouring down with rain. This is where you get your food and drink. Hot and cold snacks available. Okay, year 9, it's your turn. So this is the rear side of the arts block. This is your outdoor zone, and you can come here at the beginning of the day, breaks and lunchtime. It's actually a larger area than you might have thought, and again we're putting in a lot of benching to make it more comfortable for you. Okay, year 9, this is the entrance to the arts block. We're on the ground floor, and this is where you'll get your hot and cold snacks and drinks, and this is where you would come if it was raining at the beginning of the day, break and lunchtime. Okay, year 10, so we're now outside Lulworth block, and this area is where you could come break, lunchtime, and obviously before school as well. It does include the COPS area and both sides of the Lulworth block. We're going to make sure we get lots more extra seating for you. So year 10, we're now inside of the Lulworth block, and this is where you'll be able to get your hot and cold snacks and drinks. We're going to have a one-way system running through the Lulworth block, so you're coming through this way and you're going to always exit from that rear door there. Okay, year 11, so this is blatant favouritism obviously, because you've got the pavilion as your outdoor bubble, and you've got this lawn and also the amphitheatre just outside the cafe. That is your outdoor area before school, break time and lunchtime. Enjoy! Okay, year 11, so you don't really need much introduction to the cafe, but this is where you will get your break and lunchtime food and drink. And obviously you've got the whole cafe for chilling out on a rainy day. Okay, so year 12, 13, 14, your outdoor area is the area around the outside of Galt, but I think we will relax the rules about staying indoors for you as long as you're wearing your masks in the sixth form study area and in the sixth form centre. Then you should be able to spend a bit more time there at break and lunchtime than other year groups will be allowed. Okay, so year 12, 13, 14, we are in the sixth form centre, and this is where you'll be able to buy your hot and cold food and drink. really is a beautiful school, isn't it? Just thought you wanted to see that lovely picture. I hope you found this presentation useful. If you do still have any questions or any concerns at all about coming back next week, please email your house office initially. You can also email me if you wish. Look forward to seeing you next week. Bye bye.